physical. It's time to talk some piss and more. We're gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see the laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is the media house stream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does guys.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! We're the
You can never have enough physical media.
Well, hello and welcome, fellow fellers, back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene. I see we got a little surprise down below. There he is.
Hello.
What is up, Robert
I
Meyer
was moving
Burnett?
my water jugs.
Oh, sorry.
A little backstage action there for you, for the folks at home.
I was not aware that you was going to be joining right away. So
I can't stay very long. I literally sat down and saw that Tom had sent me a message and a link, and I'm like, oh, I can jump in for a few minutes.
well, that's good. I'm glad to have you here tonight to talk a little physical media on the Physical Media Show.
I just finished watching a movie I'd never seen on Physical Media that I bought from Grindhouse Releasing.
Oh, nice. Is it the Beverly Hills 90 whatever?
Yes.
Surprise!
Yes.
Hollywood.
Yes,
I
it is.
invited somebody.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, it's this. It's
yeah.
this. Very interesting. I
Nice.
went
What
through
is
all the
this?
stuff in it. This movie called Hollywood 90028. It's an exploitation film from the 70s. Really interesting story. They show this at the New Beverly, like the only existing print of it. Grindhouse Releasing is an interesting company because it was founded by Bob Murawski, who's Sam Raimi's film editor, and and the late Sage Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's son, and they do a lot of great work. This movie, though, I have to say, it's got all this great stuff, and it's really interesting bit of history. I didn't like the movie very much, though. I have to say, the disc is chock-a-block full of stuff. It even comes with, here's a slip cover, but it even comes with, this is fascinating, a CD from Basil Polidorus, the man who scored Conan the Barbarian and RoboCop, of the score to this movie.
Oh, nice.
But this movie is not good. I mean, I understand it's a female director. It's a sleazy exploitation film. They did a great job restoring it. I had high hopes and I didn't like it. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
So,
I was thinking about that myself because they actually follow me on Twitter. The company does. I got this William Shatner one they put out.
Yeah, Incubus.
No,
Incubus. Pardon me. Impulse.
Yeah, Impulse. I like that.
I got that too.
I thought that was good. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and it's funny because Incubus came out from Arrow, and Impulse came out from Grindhouse. Two great William Shatner movies that were made.
Yeah.
Impulse was made in the 70s, and then Incubus, the only movie ever shot in Esperanto, came out in the 60s, right before Shatner made Star Trek, which I think Incubus is actually a really pretty great movie.
I have not seen Incubus. I need to get on that one.
They made it from the only surviving print of the film.
Oh, I got to get that.
So,
because Impulse was great. I loved it.
It's Shatner the way you've never seen him before.
He's so good in that movie. The fact that he actually saved that guy's life when he was hanging there and he's punching him. And then he's like, oh, crap, he's really being hung. And he had to save him.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, we are living through a golden age. The DVD era brought us all of these exploitation titles that you could never, like, to get a Dario Argento movie on tape was insane. Like, everybody wanted bootlegs of Suspiria, and you could never get them. And if you could get them, you could only get like the American versions. Like, you could never get Fulci's The Beyond. You had to get the American cut down 7 Doors of Death. But then when DVD came out and everybody was buying DVDs were like a license to print money. you had all of these people, whether it was Blue Underground or Elite or Anchor Bay, or all these companies could have the money to go and get the original elements, or as many as they could, and restore. We lived through a golden age of getting Euro exploitation titles, and I mean, you could get everything. And then that spilled over to the Blu-ray and now the 4K era. And it's astonishing. I mean, between what Kino Lorber's putting out and what 88 Films in the UK or 101 Films has done with Asian cinema, we're living through an absolute golden age of this stuff. But then I'll buy something like this that I've never seen before, and I'm like, did I need to buy this? I mean, I wanted to buy it because I was interested in the story behind the making of the movie. And having seen the film, I'm now aware of that, and really interesting. This woman who made it went to UCLA, and she had a lot of really interesting fellow alumni that went to the school at the same time that she did. And it's kind of a part of Hollywood that is lost, but I don't necessarily think this is a very significant film. I mean, it's interesting because it came from a female director, and it's about a psychopath who's strangling women to death after he has sex with them in Hollywood in the 70s. So there's something interesting about it, but it wasn't good.
This is when I kind of miss the video store a little bit for movies like this, like the mom and pop video stores, where you could find sort of stuff like this. I mean, yeah, you can go digital and rent it and all that, but like you could find something like that movie at the mom and pop, and then you could test it, and if you liked it, then you could buy it. So that's when I kind of missed like those old video stores like that for movies like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the saddest thing about our era is I was watching this movie and I'm thinking, okay, I'd heard about this movie. I heard about the screening 20 years ago at the New Beverly, and this movie will eventually not exist. Like, it will disappear. Everybody who has any copies, God bless Grindhouse releasing, and the 3,000 people who probably bought this disc. But in 20 years, there are a lot of movies in our cinematic legacy that will, I mean, you have to ask the question, are they worth preserving? Like Vinegar Syndrome put out a really terrible Doctor Who level from the 60s science fiction movie called The Terrornauts. All you have to do is go watch they put out a trailer. Everybody should go watch the trailer for The Terrornauts. And you look at it and
me intrigued.
Oh my God, it's just not good. I mean, and it's a Space Wars, aliens, when I was a kid, I'm like, I would watch anything and everything. The Terrornauts was a movie. It was a British film, so people speak in English accents, so you immediately think it's smarter than American movies are. But the Terrornauts came out, and it was kind of a double bill with this other really bad British science fiction movie called They Came From Beyond Space. And I have They Came From Beyond Space, so I have to buy the Terrornauts. Just because like one day I can say, hey, if you guys want to see some really terrible British science fiction, that's you won't believe it exists, this is your double bill. The Terrornauts and They Came From Beyond Space are both great titles.
They are, and you've intrigued me into wanting to see them because I'm a connoisseur of trash.
No, well, see, there's good trash and bad. If you want to see one of the greatest pieces of trash that is actually good, there's a 1965 movie that Warner Archive put out called Wild Wild Planet. You have to watch it.
I'm gonna have to.
It's literally about a mad scientist who is combining men and women together into one body. I mean, it's the ultimate.
Ahead of its time.
It's way ahead of its time, and all you have to do is watch the first shot of the trailer where you've got these rockets lifting off from like a space city. You're like, oh, I'm in, because it looks like it was made out of Lego. I mean, it's the greatest. Already. But the movie is legitimately, it's like a French-Italian co-production. It's the best.
That's awesome.
I just looked it up. It looks interesting.
I'm gonna have to...
Dude, and the great thing is when you watch the trailer for Wild Wild. First of all, it's called Wild Wild Planet. If you watch the trailer for it, you're like, oh, I not only will you have to see it, you have to own it. Wild Wild Planet is very much worth owning.
That's going to have to go on the list and
This show
check that
always
out.
costs me money. That's the
Right?
sad part.
Always, every time it's like,
I mean, but the thing is, as I get older, I don't know if I'll ask you guys the same question. Like as I get older, because when I was a kid, I grew up. There wasn't any. I grew up when I was young, pre-Star Wars, so most 90% of the science fiction movies that existed before then were not good. I mean, everybody knew there was the same 10 science fiction movies. Everybody would say the same thing. It was, War of the Worlds, When Worlds Collide, Forbidden Planet, Day the Earth Stood Still. And then you got up to Planet of the Apes in 2001, which was the top, and that was it. That was it. There was nothing. I mean, you had like the Pteranauts and Wild Wild Planet because they didn't have the technology where they could make this stuff and make it convincing. You had Godzilla movies that I always loved. But even Godzilla movies, no one could. Like when they made Reptilicus, I think it's Danish. That movie was terrible. The monster was terrible. It made Godzilla movies look like Tron or something. That's a bad example. I don't know. It's just but we get those now. Like Vinegar Syndrome. When I watch the trailer for the Pteranauts that Vinegar Syndrome put out, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, I gotta have that. But do I? Do I have to have it? Yes. The answer is yes.
yes, and it's got to the point nowadays where I carefully cultivate what I get because as I am getting older, will I have time to rewatch a lot of these down the line,
or will you want to rewatch?
Or will I want to? So so I hear something like that and I want it, but also like you said, do I?
It's and it's really like for me, it's more existential. It's like I used to love the most hardcore exploitation, the most violent, the most, give me all those rape revenge movies. Give me They Call Her One Eye, aka Thriller, A Cruel Picture. I mean, I've got to get the X-rated version of Thriller, A Cruel Picture. When they put it out, and I'm like, you watch it and you just, yeesh, do I really need to? I mean, I know Quentin Tarantino paid homage with Daryl Hannah's character in Kill Bill, but you look at this movie and you're like, this movie belonged in a time that is gone. It's a bygone era, and perhaps it should have stayed there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why do I have the uncut Serbian film on Blu-ray?
Why? Because you needed it.
The thing is, that movie, I literally touched that movie, and I have a physiological. I will not. You want to be honest? I bought that movie to have it in my collection because I didn't want somebody to come over and go, "Do you have a Serbian film?" I wanted just to be able to say, "Yes." I have never taken that. I took the cellophane off the disc. I've never opened that disc. I watched somebody sent me a file of that movie before it had come on, and I was like, "How bad can this movie be?" It was that bad, like in terms of what it is. In the modern age, I've not been able to get through Gaspar Noé's Irreversible. I can't get through that movie. There's one long 10-minute scene that I can't watch, and then a Serbian film. I just watched it, and I'm like, if I was 12 years old and had that movie, it would have been the greatest thing ever. Right. I would have scarred all of my friends. I would be like, you can't watch. You're never going to be able to get through this movie, and they're right. But now you have it, and you're like,
yeah, do I need it? It's like Mikey says here, I've gotten more sensitive in my old age. So, yeah.
It's also a different time.
Yes.
I think now there's actual snuff films on the dark web and stuff. So you can, if you want to just finally go over that edge or something, maybe I do not.
No, I do not. I do not.
I mean, I will admit to liking the Hostel movies. And I'm a Hostel 2 guy more than a Hostel 1 guy.
I can't say I like those. I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan, though. I think Thanksgiving is probably his best movie. That's just me.
I like Cabin Fever. The first Cabin
Fever was all right.
Cabin Fever and Hostel 2.
When that kid jumps down does the karate.
I don't know, Tom. Am I insane? Am I just an old fuddy-duddy to not watch these movies?
If you are, then I am. And according to everybody online, I am. So
I mean, do you buy, Tom? Do you have? I don't know, like what your taste is. I mean, I know we all know each other's mainstream tastes, but is there like a subgenre of films that you really like? Like I like cheesy 60s science fiction movies from France and Britain, which is a pretty small, it's like there's probably like 12 of them.
I personally I do like the especially the Roger Corman ones, but the stripper killer movies.
Oh yeah,
where like a woman who's a news reporter or a
like
police officer,
strip nude.
yeah, they go undercover as like, oh, these strippers being killed, so I'm gonna go undercover as a stripper and find out who the killer is. So I kind of like those brand of movies. Like,
but those movies can actually be pretty good.
Yes, they
like if there's a mystery,
like almost.
Yeah, they're like giallo movies, which I really really like. And because in Italian, the Italians didn't shoot sync sound. So they would shoot, people would move their mouths, but they didn't record sound on set. Everything was dubbed, so they could dub in different languages. I know a lot of people can't get past that, but there's a lot of great, like Italian, those kinds of giallo movies that are really, because they're really well made. Yeah. There's art to them. Like, I'm always getting stuff like Fernando De Leo movies. Like he makes all these crime thriller movies. These movies are dope. And like they're all kind of the same, but this one, when the Godfather signed your contract, there's no place in the world you can hide. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all the kind of movies that Quentin Tarantino was talking about in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You can go to Italy, and when you're not making Bounty Law, you go make all these Italian westerns and crime thriller movies.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
I mean,
what about you, Tom?
My guilty pleasure would probably be rubber monster movies. Gotta be.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from like the Ghoulies type, Gremlins type to Godzilla type movies, right? Even because those are technically the same thing. They're people in rubber suits or little rubber monsters or however you want to put it.
And some can
monster in it, I'm into it, right?
Some can be really good too. Like I'm a huge fan of like Humanoids from the Deep. Humanoids from the Deep is awesome. And like when they're gonna, I mean, that movie is legitimately, it's shot on location. It's shot outside. The monsters, they literally these sea monster hybrids. All they want to do is rape women and procreate. And it's got an alien ending, Humanoids from the Deep, as Tom knows, and it's got a James Horner score that sounds like Star Trek II, the Wrath of Khan score, before he had scored Star Trek II. But those creature movies can be really, really good. Like they can legitimately be good movies. And even though Humanoids from the Deep is a low-budget Corman film, it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it is.
It is.
Tom, do you have a favorite? Do you have like a favorite guilty pleasure man in a suit monster movie?
Boy, somewhere between, I mean, Godzilla clearly has got to be great. I mean, but beyond that, boy, I mean, even things like the Ninja Turtles, right? Like that's one of the reasons why I love the Ninja Turtles to begin with. And then you combine that with guys in these costumes with CGI, or not CGI, what's the word I'm looking for? Animatronic masks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the blending of two of the things that I love the most. So, I mean, there's so many, like, Ghoulies 2 is one of those I always love because there were so many things they threw in.
Yeah.
You got the guy in the suit at the end.
Yeah.
Plus all the regular
bully.
rubber monster movies. And I mean, I love all the classics, too. Anything Ray Harryhausen's been able to get his hands on and do. I love the Kong films. All that kind of stuff is stuff that I just eat up. Jaws is, of course, my favorite of all time. I mean, monster movies, if there's anything like that, I'm down for it, especially if there's some, half-naked bimbo in it, too. That helps. But, So Corman films are always up my alley. Gosh, who else? I mean, Greg, I bring all sorts of goofy shit up here, too. So.
You've had, like, the Turtles, the Godzilla. You even had Reptilicus, speaking of which you did.
Reptilicus,
I mean, And Reptilicus spits acid where they like scratch the emulsion, so it's like the green, and again, I'm with you though watching those, but there's been some good, like in the 70s, like the It's Alive movies. There's something wrong with the Davis Baby, or even in the 80s they made movies like Chud.
Oh, I love
Chud is great.
Chud's great.
I just forgot the name of it for some reason. Belial in the basket case.
Basket case. Which is a legitimately good. That's a legitimately great sleazy New York movie. That movie's great.
Yeah, I mean, I got one coming up in my pile here today. That's a Canadian horror film, I guess you would call it, and it's kind of in that vein. It's not a monster movie per se, but it's got some of those kind of elements to it, that the cheesiness that we love here. So
I got something in my pile that's a Canadian horror movie as well.
there you go. I mean, we could probably start if you want.
Yeah, sure. Also, I'm a sucker for beach movies, 60s beach movies.
Okay, so this was one I was actually going to save for last, but since you're here and we don't know how long you're going to be here, this is one I just got from Kino Lorber called Rolling Vengeance. It's
Look at that. Come on.
Canadian film. It's basically Walking Tall with a monster truck.
Yeah, there you go.
That's really what it is. It's this kid, he's like a truck driver with his dad, and their family gets like terrorized by these guys. Ned Beatty is the dad of this like ragtag group of brothers, and they like have this bar in this town, and they're just like terrorizing the whole town, and they end up killing his whole family on him. So he goes like mad crazy and takes his skills and builds this monster truck and just goes after him and totals it's like just pure revenge fantasy, you know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of movie that Tarantino would have wrote about, probably. If he may have even mentioned it in cinema speculation, to be honest with you. It's been a while since I read it, so yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Now, is it like 10 out of 10? Fuck no. It's like it's got some of the cheesiest bad acting in it, but Ned Beatty's just chewing the scenery. The main kid in it, he actually went on to be a director later in life, because the only other movie I've seen him in was, I think it was called Shoot for the Top or something. I can't remember what it was called. Best of the Best. Best of the Best. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
With the motorcycle movie. But now he's directed the last 3, like, Tremors movies and stuff like that, I guess. But it was a Canadian production, and it was just fun. I mean, the chick that's with him, she actually is more prolific than he is. She's been in, like, Highlander, the series, and some other stuff. I'm trying to remember her name. What was her name? Lisa Howard, that's who it was. And then Lawrence Dane, I think, plays his dad in it. And no, it was fun. It was fun. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but yeah, that was one of my viewing movies this week.
That's fun. I saw that from Kino, and I actually thought about buying that myself.
It was on sale for like $11.99. So I was like, the hell with it.
I think I saw that. Yeah, why not? Now I got to buy it because that looks good and sounds fun. Just big old monster truck and everything. It's just great.
It's basically what you'd expect it to be. Watch the trailer.
I'm going to check that out. Sounds like a good one. Sounds like a fun time. Kino, we love Kino. We talk about Kino.
I've never heard of it before, really. Yeah. I was just like, give it a shot.
Kino Lorber is, you mean Kino Lorber is a label?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have their Kino Cult label. Talk about a man in a suit. They put out a movie called The Beast Within.
Oh, yeah.
That basically a giant cockroach has his way with this guy's mother, and she gives birth to him, and then later he ends up like shedding his human skin, going full humo cockroach or whatever. But they put out all this crazy stuff, and they do a good job. Like, they put out if you haven't seen it, Nicholas Meyer, who wrote Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, wrote this. It's called Invasion of the Bee Girls.
Oh,
Kino Lorber just put it out. It's great. I mean, it has if I could remake like a B movie title, it would be Invasion of the Bee Girls. A lot of sex, a lot of nudity, and Bee Girls.
You're selling me because that's my brand.
You just watch the trailer of Invasion of the Bee Girls, and it's like, oh, I'm in.
I love like
and Nicholas Meyer wrote it, so it has. These guys would write these. They'd write these movies, but even though they were total exploitation, sleazy, they would try and make them better than Section 31. But they would try and make them have a reality to them that you could buy into.
Yeah, that's why it's like when I talked to Jim Wynorski himself, like he has, he wanted to make stuff like that in the early days, and then along the way it just became Skinamax.
But he made. Have you ever seen his movie The Phantom Empire? He made it before he made Chopping Mall, and it stars like Raven Delacroix, who is this woman with just enormous, like a Russ Meyer character, and it also co-stars Angus Scrimm, the tall man from Phantasm.
Yeah.
The Phantom Empire.
That's great. Okay, Tom, you want to talk more about that movie, or?
I mean, really, there isn't much more I can say about it without giving away the plot. I mean, I gave you pretty much everything there really was before. I mean, how much more can you really pull out of it other than that? Like, it literally is like walking tall with a monster truck. Like,
It
like I
sounds
said,
fun.
the same basic setup, and this kid just decides that he's had enough, and because they go to court over the whole thing, and it's the same. It's almost like the same movie. Even the only difference is he's not like the same type as what's his face in Walking Tall, but Pusser. But yeah. Anyhow, no, that was one of my selections this week, and that's all I really have to say about it. Other than that, just I can recommend it. I mean, don't expect it to be a 10 out of 10 or anything like that. But
But it is a 10 out of 10.
it is if you love
like
cheesy B horror movies. Yes.
Yeah, because
like on
and
that level, like it does deliver. Yes.
I think people have. Here's another question I put to you guys. When I was growing up, I didn't think of these movies like Rolling Thunder. If I were to watch it on TV, I wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh, that movie sucked" in comparison to, say, a big budget Hollywood movie. I would enjoy it for what it was.
Right.
Like you're
Right.
and I would call it enjoying movies at scale. Like you understand. Like when I first saw Humanoids from the Deep, I was like, this movie is great. It's legitimately great for what it is. Or Galaxy of Terror. I'm like, I know this is an Alien ripoff, but it's a good Alien ripoff.
Yeah.
And you'd watch, like when I saw John Carpenter, when Escape from New York was like a $4 million movie. I went and saw it in a theater. It's shot in widescreen. I didn't sit there and go, this doesn't look like $100 million movie. I'm enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
And do you think it's possible for people to go back now, especially younger people, and watch these movies and be able to look at them and not just as like everything is Sharknado now. So when you go back and watch something that was made in the 70s, like a 70s creature feature, I feel that they've lost the ability to be able to take the movies on their own level and watch them for what they were aspiring to be at the time or the budget level. And it's hard for me to talk to people when I give them movies. They're like, oh, this movie's totally cheesy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it isn't totally cheesy. It's totally cheesy if you're comparing it to Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's possible for younger audiences to go back and rediscover these movies and get anything out of them?
That's a very good question, Robert. I mean, I'm sure it has to do with the individual, right? Like, I mean, if you'll know your kid, like if you know your kid's not going to sit through a black and white or older film, then no. But there are kids who are curious and know, and I love watching a film to scale. Is that how you put it or whatever? Like,
Yeah, watching because you're taking into consideration.
Yeah,
and so you're removing it from comparing it to $100 million movie, or movies today are also slick. There are no like drive-in classics anymore.
Yeah, so like again, like if I were to compare this, I would put it on a level of like comparing it to like Cannon or Roger Corman films, and in that respect, it's like a 10 out of 10 in that category because pun intended, it fires on all cylinders. You got the cheesy acting, you got the setup, you've got the obvious payoff. It's all there. This is the kind of movie. I'm surprised I never heard of it before. Like, this is the kind of movie I would imagine my cousins would have loved when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it probably wasn't on TV a lot, and you had it wasn't out on video.
Well, and it being a Canadian production, I wonder even how much play it got down here back then in '87. So yeah.
That's another great thing. We live in an embarrassment of riches where you can get all of these movies. Like Kino Lorber re-released My Beloved Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's better than the old one, even though we did have a Blu-ray of it. But you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, I've tried to explain to people. They always laugh at me, and I'm like, look, it's like Craig Baxley, who directed that, also directed I Come in Peace, the Dolph Lundgren movie. Both of those movies, because he was a stuntman, are really well directed. The action is over the top. It's awesome. And Stone Cold, Lance Henriksen is having like the time of his life playing the leader of this really bad biker gang. And I don't mean bad. I don't mean like bad, they're stupid and dumb. I mean bad is like they're bad to the bone, badass bikers. Yeah. And the movie, for what it is, it's really, I saw it in a theater. And I watched this and I'm like, this movie fucking rules.
It is. It does. It's great.
It's got all the well, the thing is with Brian Bosworth is, like, I love how people make fun of him, but he's got I can't remember the name of the show, but he did a show back in the day, and I think it was one of those famous shows that they only did one episode and it got canceled.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yet it's got, what was it called?
I don't know, but
Oh,
it
you
was
don't
like
remember what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah, exactly.
But it's
Totally.
still one of the highest rated ones on IMDb for having only one episode on TV, which is hilarious because for some reason he's got this following. And Stone Cold is one of those movies my cousins introduced me to, the same ones I'm talking about, that would have just loved Rolling Thunder. And again, I guess I got to kind of correct myself. It's not so much a horror movie. It's very much a revenge-o-matic movie. Like, it's not overtly gore or anything.
But
like
those
that,
movies are great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they made a lot. Like there's a filmmaker named James Glickenhaus who made The Exterminator with Robert Ginty. You know, a movie that starts out in Vietnam and it's totally cut this dude's head off and it's really hardcore. And then Robert Ginty comes back and his friend is like Steve James is in it and his friend gets killed and he goes out. He's a vigilante in New York and he has like a flamethrower at one point. And you know, it's like a Death Wish ripoff. But you had whole groups of filmmakers that were making these sleazy New York like 70s movies. Frank Henler made Basket Case, came out of there, and like Abel Ferrara who made Driller Killer, and Bill Lustig doing Maniac. And there was all these movies that they weren't bad. They were well done movies, but it felt like somebody dipped them in grime. And when you watch them, they were grimy, but they were awesome to watch. And there's nothing like that anymore. Like there's not at all.
Maybe a few, but like, I mean, very not the same way, right?
No, they're all, everything is like highbrow now because you don't
exactly.
There's no more drive-ins and you know, there's no more. You don't have a whole drive-in circuit where these movies existed.
Yeah, I guess this is from the director of The Park Is Mine. You may have heard of that movie.
I read that book.
Yeah, the one with Tommy Lee Jones.
The Park Is Mine. The movie's okay, but if you want to read a great book, that was one of those books where I would read it and go, man, I hope somebody makes this into a movie. And they did. It's not as the movie.
I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm hoping it's good. But
it's. I mean, it's not horrible, but if you guys want, it's like there's two books that I would recommend reading. One is The Park Is Mine, and the other is the book that John Carpenter's Vampires is based on.
Oh, I've heard that's a good book. Yeah.
Book, the book, and it's funny because it's written by a guy named John Stakely. It's vampires. It's vampires.
It's called Vampires.
It's called, but the S
it was like
in
Chronicles or something.
No, it's just Vampires, and the S in Vampires is a $. The
that's
thing
right.
Is,
yes, you're right. Yep.
They need to remake that movie. And they need to remake that movie with like a $50 million budget or an $80 million budget because the movie just suffered from being really, really low budget.
Would it work? Maybe. Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know, but the new one, they're finally coming out with the 4K of that for John Carpenter, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like the movie.
I thought it was pretty good. And to me, personally, I think it's the last John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
Like, he did Ghosts of Mars and a couple other things after that, but to me, those were just like, give me the paycheck.
Yeah.
Although the last one he felt like he was invested in.
I have an affinity for Ghosts of Mars, but it's not good.
It's just a weird movie. I haven't seen it in 20 years probably.
Yeah, I never enjoyed it.
It's got its moments, but it felt like it was shot on a set, and it just felt like very phoned in.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
But I love the cast.
Oh yeah, Ice Cube is always good in just about anything he does. But, yeah. So what did you have this week, Greg?
Yeah, speaking of Canadian film and James Wood, I have, if I can remember how to do this, I have Videodrome. Long Live the New Flesh, and I love it. From Criterion.
I love that it's a beta tape.
That's
awesome, I know. I
think the one I got is the import, and I don't think it's a tape.
Yeah, it's great.
This is the Criterion, so yes, okay. I've watched this, and this is still very much today. Like, I mean, when they're talking to Dr. Oblivion, he says, my real name isn't Dr. Oblivion. That's my TV name. Everybody in the future will have their own name.
And
Sitting here, I'm on YouTube, and I'm called FanZcene. That's not my real name. So it's very relevant.
Totally. That movie's it's so great. I love when he's getting down with Debbie Harry and she's like, cut me.
Yeah,
cut me right here, and she's already got cut marks from razor blades, and he's like, it looks like somebody beat me to it.
He's like, you let somebody do that to you?
And Howard Shore, the man who did the score for Lord of the Rings, does the score for that movie.
And it's a great score. It's a great
Because
score.
Howard Shore was like this avant-garde Canadian composer until, suddenly Peter Jackson taps him to score. But for the 70s and the 80s, he did all these great scores for Cronenberg's movies and stuff.
It's insane. But I mean, it's one of those great Cronenberg like 80s body horror movies, and it's just, I'm watching and it's like connecting it so much to today. It's like he was really on to something, because like we are all sort of we've merged with technology, and we're all on TV, YouTube, and like even like when they use Debbie Harry when they take her and they show her on the TV and stuff, like those guys are paying OnlyFans girls and stuff.
It's
like,
totally that. 100.
Yes.
No, that movie's one of the most prophetic movies ever made.
Yes.
Videodrome and I think it's Sidney Lumet who directed Network, the 70s movie Network. Those two as a double feature. But yeah, I was made for that show. I love the older woman that wants to get into James Woods' pants, and she's trying to sell him that series Samurai Dreams.
Yeah.
She's like, Videodrome is dangerous, Max. It's dangerous because Videodrome has a philosophy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
have.
yeah, I mean it was great. And then there's that character Barry Convex. I mean, Cronenberg always has the greatest names for people.
Yeah.
He has a new movie coming out that I'm dying
to
to see called The Shrouds.
Mm-hmm.
It's either called The Shrouds or The Shroud. And it's check this out. There's basically Vincent Cassel plays a guy that looks just like David Cronenberg. And he's lost his wife. So he's created this way to bury people. I kid you not, this is what the movie's about. To bury people, and you can watch on video, you can go to their grave sites and you can watch them decompose. And he does this to get over the grief with his wife. And then something happens. I haven't seen it. I mean, I can't wait.
Sounds like Cronenberg.
I mean, it's kind of the end of his long live the new flesh philosophy. And also Second Sight's putting out The Brood and Scanners in 4K.
Yeah.
And The Brood is a masterpiece. And I can't wait. See, people are like, but why? Yuck. Well, because okay, here's the thing about Cronenberg. Here's why I love Cronenberg so much. Cronenberg, the thing is, we especially Americans, we are very uncomfortable with our bodies. Like the idea that all these things that if we could take all the bad things about our bodies, we literally would just flush them away. But what Cronenberg does is all of his body horror films are all about the mind, our spirit, soul, and our mind, how we're trapped in these vessels of meat that at any 1 minute are going to revolt against us. Something's going to happen, whether it's the fly, whether it's the brood, whether it's rabbit, or they came from within. Something's going to go down, and our bodies are going to revolt against our mind and our intellect, and we're effed.
Yeah.
Like that's what, and I love that. I love that. I love that about Cronenberg's films because, one of the great things in The Brood, and I can't wait to get that Second Sight disc. The Brood is so good. But the idea that you can take all your trauma or your anger and externalize it through like cancers and stuff, expel your trauma through and people are growing these horrible things on their bodies to get rid of their trauma.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen The Brood, you got to watch it because it's got one of the great shocking reveals of all horror history in it. If you don't know what it is, don't look it up.
Don't look it up. But
because for the first time, I've shown that movie to people for the first time, and it gets to that point, and it's one of the horror movies that still wigs people out if they get far enough. They don't know what they're in for.
Yeah,
it's great.
It is good. But yeah, like I was watching Videodrome, and it's just I hadn't seen it in a while, and it looks really good. The Criterion looks really good, and it was just I hadn't seen it in a while, but it was like blowing my mind how much has come to pass and from that movie that is like actually true to this day. And I'm like, just like Dr. Oblivion himself recorded his whole mind is just tapes. That's because that's his that's the legacy we're all leaving, except we're not tapes anymore.
Right.
It's digital.
No, it's all true.
Yeah. very true. And I
Yeah,
do
I
want to
was
say
looking
that
for my copy. I can't remember who put it out overseas, but yeah, it wasn't as cool as looking as that one. I got to give Criterion a point for that.
yeah, that's like one of the few Criterion's not one of the better ones with cases, but this is one of the few good ones I
Yeah,
wrote.
especially when they redo them. You would think you get it the opportunity now to redo it with 4K. So what do they normally do? They'll turn around and just give us the same damn thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Or they make it worse. Like, that's the other one I hated.
Yeah,
The only time I
whatever
think
it
they
is.
went the opposite direction was Night of the Living Dead. I was glad they actually put the 4K, I think, in a standard case instead of having the cardboard one.
Yeah, the card
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do want to say to everybody out in the chat, I see you all out in the chat. Welcome to everybody out there. I see you all. I appreciate you all for hanging with us tonight and talking, listening to Robert and Tom and me and all that.
Tom, somebody asked us when you were gone in the chat, asked if you think James Woods will ever come back and act again.
Yeah.
I think he's semi-retired, isn't he?
I don't know if that's by choice.
I mean, I think he was actually by choice retiring, but because I know this much, and this is what makes me think that is when Oppenheimer came out, because he's one of the producers.
Yep.
He voluntarily stepped aside and didn't want to be a part of any of the promotion because he knew what him being a part of it would stigmatize the film.
Right.
So in that kind of tells me that he's more than just happy doing what he's doing. I mean, now I don't know with his house burning down if he's going to need the work. I mean, I'm sure if somebody offered him something, he'd probably do it. I don't know. Has he worked much lately otherwise? No. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, and he's not somebody that's not popular enough to where I don't see where some of these other companies that have no issues working with people of different values.
I've always loved him as an actor.
Yeah,
And,
Lionsgate's a company that seemingly has no problem working with anybody.
Yeah.
It's true. I think the right
gotta
thing.
Kill a baby before Lionsgate goes. Maybe we should make a movie with this guy.
Well, you can watch a Serbian film.
Again, I could be wrong. Yeah. See?
You never know if the right part comes along and it really intrigues him. I could see him being like, "Okay, I can do that."
That's just it. At his age, what is he getting offered? Right, the grandpa.
Exactly. So I think you're right. I think he's comfortable in doing what he's doing. I think he's probably a major player behind a lot of scenes that we don't know about. And if somebody were to offer him a role that he would really intrigue him, I think he would step into it.
I think if Oliver Stone or somebody hit him up, he definitely would. Because I know those two are good friends. Somebody like that, he definitely would.
Definitely. I want to say Stallone for some reason. Like Stallone and him would do
have
something.
They ever worked together?
Yeah.
Was he in The Specialist?
That's right. He was yes, that's true. They did. Yes. Yep, you're right.
By the way,
totally.
The Specialist is awesome. It's awesomely bad, but it's awesome. It's got a John Barry score. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah.
The Specialist rules.
Did you have any more to show off there on your side? Otherwise, I got a few more here.
No, you can go to your next one if you want, unless Robert wants to show one.
Here? That's a good question.
I actually got a few discs the other day that I haven't even shown.
Go ahead.
Me where to go.
Well, I mean, I did. This is what I did get. I got The Substance.
Oh, The Substance.
The Substance in 4K from. Thank you, Mubi, for not putting out just the Blu-ray and then 3 months later putting out the 4K like you did with Decision to Leave. So thank you for that. And I also got. I'm a big fan of John Rowland's lesbian vampire movies. So, and they've been Indicator has been releasing them in 4K. So, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. I hope everyone. Requiem for a Vampire, one of his classics, and these Indicator releases are dope. They're beautiful slipcases with booklets, and they're. It's interesting because I never thought that 6,000 people would buy these, but this is copy 5,754 out of 6,000. So maybe these genre, I haven't looked, but maybe these Jean Rollin vampire movies are selling out. So if you like your French lesbian vampire movies, let me tell you. But they haven't put out my favorite Jean Rollin movie yet, which is The Living Dead Girl. I don't know. I mean, I'm dying to get The Living Dead Girl. I had it on Laserdisc, but I would love to own a 4K of that. That's my favorite of his movies.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Didn't he replace someone who did I remember they said he was replacing someone. Dennis Quaid was in The Substance. I can't remember who they said it was originally supposed to be, and he came in and he replaced him. So I just think that's how they got him.
He was great in The Substance.
Yeah,
I love Dennis Quaid. I don't know, some people get mad when people embrace their faith or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know why? Who cares? He's the best pilot I ever saw.
Yeah. It was Ray Liotta. That's right. It was supposed to be Ray Liotta.
Oh.
Yeah. I
But
love
he was
Interspace.
great. Interspace is great too.
I love it.
I haven't got a chance to see The Substance yet, but I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard the ending is a little weird though. Like it goes.
It's so over the top, but it's gloriously over the top. It'll remind you of things. It'll remind you of, like, people always say it reminds them of the Screaming Mad George, the Brian Usna movie. Why am I drawing a blank on that? I can
Society.
Society. Yeah, I have the Arrow box set of that. I'm like, Society.
Society. There you go.
So
go ahead. Yeah.
Rick Johnson asked if I have The Living Dead Girl on Blue. I do have The Living Dead Girl on Blue, but I want the 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. How many times have I bought the same movie in my life?
Oh, I have that.
Tell me about it.
I mean, it's like,
do you
why?
know how many girlfriends I've heard that from, where it's like, do you really need more than one copy of the same movie?
Oh my God. My girlfriend Elizabeth, she goes, why do you have 7 copies of To Live and Die in LA? and my answer is because I need them.
Are all these
they're
versions
mine.
of Halloween really different? Like, I don't get it.
The color timing is different. Let me set you down. I'll sit you down. If you really want me to answer that question, I'm going to need 2 hours of your time,
Robert.
and I'm going to put you down, and you're going to watch every single copy.
You don't understand. This one has a documentary that's 80 minutes long. That's not on this
2
release.
seconds
and
shorter than this one. God damn it!
And this one has the foreign release cut of the film that's a minute longer.
And this is
an extra
Open
scene.
I needed to get the German play-on version of Waterworld because it has the Ulysses cut in 4K.
God damn it! You're right. I do.
I do too, and I don't have it.
Fuck!
I mean,
I've already got 4 copies.
Did I buy the Arrow version of Life Force because it has the international version in 4K? Yes. Yes, I did.
Like, that would be like every guy who does this. They know that's every girlfriend. When you find the one who finally gets it, that's when you got to really make sure you put a ring on it. But no, I do. I have like all 4. Like, I got the old Blu-ray copy of Waterworld. I've got the Arrow Blu-ray copy. I've got the 4K copy. I've got the Arrow 4K copy. Now I need the play-on one.
Yeah, you do, because it's like in a bigger box.
Speaking of which, Tom, one of the ones you're bringing on, I actually brought a copy that I have of it because I have multiple copies of one of them because it's one of my favorite Universal monsters, and I keep onto it just because I like the case. It's the DVD version, but I like the case. So if you want to go ahead and show that one,
I can. Why not? Because I have several copies myself of the Wolfman, and I even had one I got rid of a long time ago too. So yes, this is still in plastic. I haven't even opened this one yet. Why not? Why ruin it?
I keep this one just because I like the case.
See,
that's a dope ass case.
Yeah, that's why I keep it. It's the DVD version. I just keep it because I like the case.
Sometimes they still have not surpassed the DVD case. There have been things that I've replaced. I have bought a movie just to get the case, and I'll take another version of it that I have, and I'll put my 4Ks in like a DVD.
Yeah,
I'll put my 4Ks in a not a VHS, in a DVD or in a Blu-ray case that I like better, and I'll throw the 4K case away.
I actually like the more compact Blu-ray.
I do too.
Yeah,
but
But there's some cases that are like, no, these are dope.
Yeah.
That's so. It's like leather. Feels like leather and everything.
Don't
it's
quite
just
do the love. The swag they'll do some really crazy stuff, but usually it's more like, okay, here's a nominee for the worst case of the year. It's more like it. But yeah, no, as far as the transfer of this, it looks great. Pretty sure they luckily still had the negatives for this. At least it looks like it, if not a fine grain.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
This one looks really good.
By the way, Rick Johnson, I still have CED discs.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Sort of have one.
I'll tell you the reason. So I was working at a video store.
Video disc, but
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
that's a laser disc.
it's the video caddy disc thing from Japan.
Oh, is that a CED? It is
It's
a CED
VHD.
disc.
It's kind of like their CE. It's kind of like their
okay.
version of CED. Basically,
Wow.
it's thinner. It's weird. Yeah.
The reason that we had a CED player, a CED. So for those of you who don't know, it's not a laserdisc player, like Rick says.
Right.
It's a disc player that worked with a stylus, not unlike a record, a phonograph.
Mhm.
It was pretty good, but it had a tendency to skip. But the reason we had a rental CED player, nobody had ever rented it, so they sold it to me for $50. And the only reason I wanted it was because at the time in the 80s, that's how old I am, the only way you could get On Her Majesty's Secret Service on video was if you got it on CED disc. And as a James Bond fanatic, I'm like, how come I don't have,
Yeah.
how come this hasn't come out on tape yet? I need to get it on. Then they put it on, and of course, then I started to buy them because of the pictures. It was really just a plastic case with a sticker on the front. But like I had to get the Clockwork Orange disc, I had to get Star Trek the Motion Picture just to display. I mean, I had them, but they were shitty. When I got a Laserdisc player, I dumped all my VHS and dumped all my CED stuff. I went full on laser only. I dumped my videotapes in '85 and went strictly Laserdisc for 15 years until 2000.
Wow.
And then moved over. Then moved over to DVD.
Yeah.
I was like, how dare you take my Laserdiscs from me? But then DVDs they became anamorphic and they were progressive scan. And they made Laserdiscs, even though they were still NTSC video, the Laserdiscs look like shit.
Yeah.
I still have 100 lasers. I have 100 lasers right over there.
Nice.
I've never played them.
Yeah, I remember when DVD came along. I was pleasantly happy with DVD. I was like, whoa, this is like when they opened up the full screen of the widescreen of the movie and everything. You're like, yes.
And then they went to 16:9 TVs.
Yeah, and that even made it even better. But Tom, if you want to talk a little bit about the Wolfman, because I didn't care the new one. I have no interest for the new one. This is my favorite Universal monster. I love Dracula, Frankenstein, but there was just always something about Lon Chaney's performance that grabbed me that I just absolutely love. It's my favorite Universal monster. But you want to talk about it, Tom? Because I know it's been a while since you actually seen it.
I mean, it's one of the few monsters that to be played by the same actor through all the appearances too, as far as I know.
He's actually played all the Universal monsters except for Gilman.
That too.
Yep.
But yeah, this set is actually pretty good too, even if you have this one or can get your hands on it, because this has all the films in it. In fact, you get the Wolfman.
Yeah.
You get Frankenstein meets Wolfman, and House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, and Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, and even Werewolf of London and She-Wolf of London. So you get all those in one package, or you can get it in that big ass box set. Which
I got the big old. Yeah.
That's worth it. But even though the 4K scan of this one even looks better than Dracula, I'd say.
Oh, really?
Because Dracula is the only one of the bunch so far that I felt didn't really have a huge uptick. But I know that one no longer has the negative, from my understanding. I don't know if Robert, you know more about that, but I think they're running off of like a fine grain print or something like that they had. It's been lost for years because it's been used so many times over the
which is a problem
decades.
with a lot of these movies. They've been some of these negatives, like Godfather was in terrible shape because of how much they'd used it to make video and TV and stuff like that.
This one, it looked like they had the negative for there.
Yeah.
Like the Dracula, when they had like a behind the scenes where they actually go through talking about the remastering of it. This one, I don't think they do, but I'm pretty sure it looks good. Looks very good, and even sounds pretty clean for what it is too. I mean, it's mono, but I mean, yeah. So no, I found it was a pretty good presentation actually. So that's one I can recommend. I did watch another Wolf movie though. I watched a couple actually. I watched this one too. This is The Hammer, Curse of the Werewolf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually better than I thought it was going to be, considering there's hardly any werewolf in it, and considering you find out how cut it was. Because the MPAA was not going to allow it get through with some of the stuff that it had in it, but it was actually kind of entertaining in comparison to what I thought it was going to probably be. But no, and it's a pretty decent transfer. It actually comes from a 4K scan. Gotta give Shout credit, I guess, for that. But yeah. I don't know if you have a chance to see that one. It has a reversible art on the cover too. Like his face or whatever. Actually, I just left the disc there because it's the same thing.
It's the same one.
And then the other one I watched, and this is the doozy of them all, Howling 5: The Rebirth.
Wow,
or should we
dude.
call it Agatha Christie's Howling? Because that's really what it is an Agatha Christie movie with a werewolf.
Nice.
It's no Howling 2. My sister is a werewolf.
I've got that. I've got
Sybil
that.
Danning.
Yeah. No, so what the plot of this one is that all these people are called to a castle that has been closed for 500 years, and they all have the mark of the thorn or whatever on them, and one of them is a werewolf, and they're going to figure out which one it is, and there's like a Van Helsing type character who's organizing the whole thing, and it's actually, I think it was based on a completely different story or book. There's a movie that, was it Vincent Price or somebody like that had made years ago that was was more or less a ripoff of, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it's all right, but it's the sad part is the wolf looks pretty good, but they literally only show the wolf in like one shot.
Yeah.
Oh man,
like one fucking shot, and it's like, what the? Are you kidding me? It's the wolf they show in this poster, right? But it's like you barely get to see it in the movie. Let me see if there's a picture of it in here at all.
yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen Howling 5. I think I stopped at like
pretty good,
3 or 4. So
yeah, this is it, and that's literally the shot you see it in, and it's literally for a split second. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Because otherwise the movie wasn't that bad. It was kind of entertaining in that like weird Agatha Christie kind of movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because like everybody's like off going into adventures. It's like, don't go down that hallway. Don't go through the fucking maze. What are you doing? Like, it's one of those kind of movies. So, yeah, I had fun with some werewolves this week.
Gents, I must take my leave of you because
right.
I have a show,
Good
my own
seeing you
show
again.
at 8:00. So I don't mean to I've got to go.
It's great to have you with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for sending me a link.
Yeah.
I just sat down. I literally sat down, clicked on, and I saw that you'd sent me the link. I'm like, I can jump on right now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
Well,
you,
we're
Robert.
glad
Thank you for being here. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. Good to see you, Tom. This was fun. One day we have to do like a big collaboration. You guys have to come on the Let's Get Physical Media show. I want to do more collabs in 2025.
I'm open to it anytime. I've
Me
told you
too.
that already.
Yeah, we got to do
Yeah.
that. We got to do more of that. I really want to get. I really want to stream with Elliot Cohen from the UK. Hello, dear viewer. He always does the reviews because he did something really interesting. He decided that he was going to stop buying like everything and to concentrate and make his collection really curated. Like I'm going to cut down my collection. Like I need to do that.
Yeah.
Like
That's what
I'm
I
like,
I'm
started.
doing that, but it's because of cost.
but I mean, it's like, yeah, I need a Serbian film. Do I?
Yeah,
Do I have like I buy these movies thinking I don't want anybody to be disappointed that I don't have a movie. No one comes over here. Nobody comes into my collection and asks this. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Like, what am I trying to do? Trying one day someone's going to come into my house and go, "Do you have a Serbian film?" Because if you don't, I mean, I'm not going to be your friend anymore.
My family calls it the archives. He's in the archives again, and they don't they never come over.
The one that bothers me is they always pick the one movie I don't happen to have. Like, do you have Magnolia? It's like, no, I don't. 'Cause I fucking hate that.
I got to tell you, I don't either.
I don't.
I hate that.
I love Boogie Nights. I love There Will Be
Yeah.
Blood. I love the Adam Sandler movie Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, that one wasn't even that bad. Yeah, I
But
agree
don't
with
give
you.
me Magnolia. Oh,
That
Brandon
pissed me off
Frogs.
so bad. 3 hours for nothing.
I
It
wish
was so
somebody.
ba-
I would watch the Tom Cruise cut of Magnolia.
That I would. Yeah, he was the most entertaining part of the whole movie. That I agree with you with. Like his bits were like, but it doesn't go anywhere. Like nothing is wrapped up.
No.
And I get it is trying to be all symbolic and shit. But here, share this real quick, Greg, before Robert leaves, because I know
Okay.
the feeling. This is all of us right here.
Looking at all my
New
4Ks.
4K films added to cart. Me looking at all my other 4Ks in my collection I haven't seen yet.
I mean, it's funny. It's going to be funny. Like in 30 or 40 years, they're going to look back at all of us who have passed on, shuffled off the mortal coil, and there's going to be like a landfill problem when there's thousands and thousands and thousands.
I
of
know
these
my kid will
plastic
at least
discs.
appreciate mine, but yes, I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
I mean, no one will care about. I have nothing. I'll have to figure out. Somebody needs to build like if I ever hit it, if I ever made a lot of money, like suddenly if I was a crypto billionaire, I would go to like probably NYU, New York would be the best place, and make them build the Robert Meyer Burnett genre film studies program. So all the exploitation movies and all these it would have a repository. So everybody's collection who had any of these exploitation movies from all around the world, it would suck up all of them, and it would have all the parts you need to refurbish every 4K player and every VHS player, so you would never be without the technology and the collection.
Where do I donate to this?
Yeah.
The thing is, it'd be so expensive. I'd have to have like $100 million donation to build the building and have
You'd
the
be
technology.
surprised. Like that part's the hard part. But once you get to like people just donating stuff and having stuff there for people to, I think it could be a system that works.
Yeah. The Robert Meyer Burnett genre studies program, and you have to watch these movies to get in. Like you have to watch Thriller: A Cruel Picture. You have to watch a Serbian film.
There should be classes like this in film school where it's like, yes, we're going to show you the Godard, we're going to show you the Hitchcock, we're going to show you all the other stuff, But they really should say, now here's where we're going to get into the stuff. Like, look, we know this isn't called, quote, high art. This isn't,
the students would go to the dean and cancel you.
I know, but they should learn it. It's like, this is what people like, though. Like, we get it. Most people will point to this and say, that is a beautiful piece of art. Yes. 2001: A Space Odyssey, piece of art. But goddamn it, so is Humanoids from the Deep.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, it would be so much fun to teach a class on exploitation cinema and blow students' minds. Blow the little triggered 20-year-old students and show them today. And I would make everybody sign a waiver, and I would make a poster that said, just keep telling yourself it's only a movie, it's only a movie, it's only a movie. Professor Rob Burnett's genre exploitation cinema class. And I would make it a big thing. Like, not only do you have to sign an NDA, you have to sign an insurance waiver. You have to make people sign like 10 different forms so that school's not responsible. I'm not responsible. You're not going to call your parents and cry. You're not going to call Child Protective Services that I own these movies. All these different things. And make it a thing. Like, if you pass, then you can come through the doors and you can have a great experience.
That was one of my favorite parts in the documentary, The Wolfman's Got Nards.
That was a great documentary.
Yeah. Where he shows the class Monster Squad, and they're like, oh, it's got slut shaming, it's got racial slurs, and he's like, they're just like, dude, this movie was made in the 80s. I love it when they're like, everybody's like, you tell that some of them got offended from watching the movie when they show that in the documentary. I use those
slurs every day of the week.
Well, the sad part is that we live in a society now where people are more interested in identifying those things. It's like they want you to know that they understand. They're like, see, that was slut shaming and that was racist and all that. I would ask them, why is it important that we know that you know that? Yeah. Don't you think that we know that?
Yeah,
we understand that. Like, let me point all this. Like, I gave a speech. I lectured at a college a couple months back, and I talked about the dawn of cinema. And how I started in the late 1800s and basically took them up to the beginning of the sound era. And I was talking about how imagine that up until cinema and photography, in the early 1800s, they had created the zoetrope. But no one had ever seen a representation of another human being moving. Like, art was only paintings. You could only say, and then photography was all still frames. But in all of human history, it wasn't really until the 1880s where suddenly somebody decided to go shoot like a garden party. And you had people, and imagine what it was like to actually see images that no human beings had ever seen before. Like, we'd had art for thousands of years, but it was only ever still representations.
Yeah.
and how you hear stories about how when they show that one film about the train coming into the station, people were freaked out when they first saw it. But imagine that. And I was trying to get people in the mindset of what that's like, what that must have been like for people at the time, or to sit down. One of the first feature films ever made was made in Australia, in Melbourne. It was about the Kelly gang, the outlaw gang. And, there's a new version like with Russell Crowe and stuff in it, but, or Guy Pearce. But imagine you're sitting down and you're watching a feature film and no one's ever seen one before. Like the language of cinema, sitting down and watching a story that's being told to you on film, having never seen it before.
Yeah.
Now we can't even conceive. We don't even have, since we've always had it, we don't know what that would have been like. It must have been mind blowing to be, and remember, there was 30 years of cinema, well, 27 years of cinema. And if you really think about it, it's 20 years of feature films without sound. But to then transition from silent movies for decades to hearing sound for the first time. I mean, the movie Singing in the Rain deals with that, but it's a funny, but it's always fascinated me that the thing about being a movie fan is the 20th century, we've really only had movies that as we know them for 110 years. So you can learn about the entire history of the art of cinema. Nowadays people don't care, but for me, growing up as a movie fan, I mean, I've lived through half of film history, and that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I'm gonna go now. I must go.
I was gonna say, I appreciate you, Robert. Thanks
Otherwise,
for
I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, thank you so much
We'll
for
keep
coming
you
on.
here.
I'm shutting up now.
We can keep going.
I'm shutting up.
So, you have a good night, Robert. I appreciate you.
See you guys.
See ya.
Awesome.
That was good. That was fun. That was fun.
All right, so now that I'm through my werewolves, and I was saving Rolling Thunder for last, but I could not.
Yeah,
bring
with
it out
Robert here.
At that point, like that was the perfect point to bring it out, guys. So,
yes.
there you go. All right,
There you
we
go.
didn't get any news in the intro though.
No. Do we have any news?
I mean, was there any announcement news? I don't know. I mean,
I know Arrow's supposed to announce Friday.
Yeah, I was
their
gonna say
new
there was that
titles,
one.
but
Those are the Shout ones. Didn't we get those last week though? I think.
I think we got Time Cop
all
and
those. Yeah, so
Renfield, and there was we got those last week.
the only news I saw this week was I was confused by this. I guess the physical media dude was trolling the El Paso guy, because I guess the El Paso guy was trying to claim that there are going to be edits in Dirty Harry, and there's nothing to support this. So
yeah,
there were some people asking me about it. I don't know. I really don't think that's the truth, though.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
They didn't for The Exorcist. Why the fuck would they start now?
Yeah, why would it?
And they surely didn't for Blazing Saddles, so why would they start now?
Yeah, why would it, especially on that? I did hear Crocodile Dundee's coming on 4K.
There was that, yes. That was.
I'm curious about that because I would assume here, and speaking of edits, I would assume here in America we will get the
was
version.
Something about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because Australia, because I covered it in a video, is this like their government, the branch of their government has requested cancel culture power to edit films, to edit Crocodile Dundee, Gone with the Wind, and Mary Poppins, and like to take out what they consider doesn't relate to modern day sensibilities. And so, and I know I made the video, and some people have said they've already edited Crocodile Dundee down there, and it pertains to the knife and the indigenous people. So I was curious if I would figure we will get the unedited version here in America, but I'm curious because it is an Australian movie. So, but yeah, I think that was about it on announcements.
Did they release a home video version at all with the edited, or just on a streaming service, or what's the deal?
I think it was just like through like TV or something down there in Australia. So I know they've already edited it.
And it's kind of stupid to edit the part out because it does have a payoff later on.
Right?
Right? Like the whole scene does play out, and then there's a payoff later on down the road where you realize, oh, he's not a phobic at all. It's just he discovered it. Shit happens. He's a little bit more rustic than most people are. Nobody had a problem with it after that point. Like he makes friends with the individual, right? So it's like
exactly, yeah.
What's the deal?
I don't get it. But yeah, apparently Australia, it's really bad. Gotten really bad with some of the wedding to edit everything. Yeah, Dragonzilla,
it though?
Mary Poppins.
that wasn't directed by him. He just starred in it, right?
Yeah, he just started. I think he was like just like producer and stuff like that. Starred in it, but
I don't know if he's woke. Paul Hogan could be. I don't know.
From what I understand, it's the government. It has nothing to do with him or the people that made the movie. It's the government wants to edit everything.
Well, Paramount owns distribution over here, so I think they.
Yeah, that's why I figured we'll get the. We should get the the normal version of the film. So, but yeah, welcome to everybody in chat. I'm sorry if I missed any of you guys. Brian Bart, Dragonzilla, VHS Mikey, Random Brad, Rick Johnson, Ron Henriquez, Classy Cannabis, Joey, Quillian Rogue, Tyrell 72, Doba Fett, Hollifield, Trevor Maurer, who's from Australia as well.
You would know.
Yeah. Deleted Scenes, Tim Hayes. I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. I'm sorry. Just when Robert gets here and he gets to talking, we kind of get distracted. The style section. Thank you guys for coming with us. But with that being said, I guess we'll.
We don't. Robert only shows up once in a blue moon, so you got to take advantage of his time when he does.
Yeah, Venabite Void King. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, when he comes in, he gets to talk, and we got to take advantage of that. Anthony Draven, appreciate you guys all. But I think that's all the announcements at this time. So, but are you ready for me to go to my next pick? So,
yeah, I didn't really have too much more than that to say about these. Like I said, I mean, they all got a nice collection of extras, except for Howling 5, which doesn't really need any. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about what you thought about the Wolfman, because I know you said you hadn't watched it in a while.
I've always loved it.
Okay.
Again, it's probably my third favorite of the monster films. Fourth, maybe, actually, because of counting Bride of Frankenstein, but I always kind of count that as one film, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or however you want to consider it. But yeah, no. Actually, I think I probably enjoyed it more this time than I have in previous eras. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the nice, pristine presentation, because this would be the... I'm trying to remember if I even watched... I think I did watch it on Blu-ray, but I was just kind of like, meh, at the time. I just wasn't into it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. It's always... I don't know. It's just... I think maybe
like every time you get a bad remake, though, it always makes the original better.
Did you watch the remake?
No, but I've heard enough about it now that... Like, it's barely even a remake, from my understanding. Like, basically, the one from a few years back with Benicio del Toro is more of a remake than this, from what I understand.
Yeah. Which I think people are looking back on that one now going, maybe we judged it too harshly. But no, from what I've heard, it's like it deals with a lot of trauma, and it's essentially like a remake of The Fly more than it is a Wolfman movie.
Yeah, more of a body horror film.
Yeah.
Which is, unpredictable also, from what I heard.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of the father-son element to it, but it's...
Yeah. Or, well, in The Curse of the Werewolf, I almost watched that because I almost pulled out my Hammer set and I was going to watch it, but I didn't.
I did have... I forgot to bring about that, because I got this, which is a decent set for the price, but it's older scans, so keep that in mind, guys.
Okay.
Because, like, even The Curse of the Werewolf, I don't know why it's in some 2 to 1 aspect ratio on here, so it's cropped off.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know why. But it's proper and looks a hell of a lot better on the Shout version, so.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no special features on here, really, either, so. But, I mean, this is a nice collection at the same time, but it just happens to be on here. I have a couple of the other ones that are on here on other versions, but, so. No, it's on here, too. I forgot to show that one off. But this, I've seen this for like $8.
Yeah, that's super cheap.
And it's got a lot of movies on it. It's got Brides of Dracula, Curse of the Werewolf, Night Creatures, Phantom of the Opera, Paranoiac, I don't know how to say that, The Kiss of the Vampire, Nightmare, and Evil of Frankenstein. So,
yeah.
Which I think Evil of Frankenstein is the sequel, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, as I was saying, I think it's, from what I remember, it's the sequel.
The first one, I think, which is Horror of Frankenstein as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think so.
Diabolic found some Shout Factory titles that were out of print. I'm like, oh,
I did. Yeah, I did see that. Hollifield, I probably, because what I've heard about the new, it's not doing so well. Typically, these Blumhouse, even if they're shitty movies, they tend to turn a profit. Even he himself tweeted about the profits not being so good on this one.
I couldn't find that, though. I looked for it. Did he?
Yeah, did you find it? Because I was curious about if he actually tweeted that.
I wonder if it wasn't
Fake. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Maybe.
That's what I was wondering. Because I looked for it today. Because I was thinking about actually using it for a video. And like, I can't find it. So.
I can't find. So yeah, it was probably faked in. But I was curious because it's not doing so well. I think it'll make some money, but it's one of the few Blumhouse movies that's not doing well. So
nah, they got to start over again.
Yeah, it's what it said. Robert Eggers is doing the Universal monster movies better than Universal, and his is going to be a werewolf movie, and I guarantee it'll be better than the Wolfman. So.
Have you got to see Nosferatu yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting because I know it comes out in a couple weeks. I'm just going to buy the 4K and I'm going to watch it. So,
yeah, I'm getting pissed at Groove because they keep advertising the Steelbook that's out of print.
Mm-hmm. It's getting harder to get the Steelbooks.
I hope I get mine. I got one through Walmart, but Lord knows if they'll oversell and fuck up again like they always do, or Amazon.
Yeah.
Because Amazon's been out of print. I couldn't get one through there either. So
I did manage to get my not that it has anything to do with Nosferatu, but it does lead into my next pick. I did manage to get my pre-order for Twin Peaks, and not $70.
Yeah,
I got it for the 55.
I saw it for 55 again, and I forgot to get it.
Yeah, I got it for the 55. I was like, finally. So I pre-ordered it. When it shows up, who knows? It definitely ain't getting on release day, but who knows when it will show up. But no, I plan on getting Nosferatu. I'll probably just get the standard 4K because it's hard to get the steelbooks anymore. It's almost impossible. So, but with that being said, I'll go on to my next pick. And speaking of David Lynch, I watched Lost Highway from the Criterion Collection here with Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette. So yeah, this movie is, it's bizarre, but I love it. I love it. I actually really do like this movie. It's mesmerizing. It's horrific. It's mind-boggling. It's confusing. It's very dreamlike. It's everything you could describe as a David Lynch movie. So I don't know if you've seen it all the way. I remember last time you said you hadn't watched it all the way through or not or whatnot. But yeah, if you've never seen The Lost Highway, it's a great. This is, it's okay. Speaking of Robert Blake in The Lost Highway, he's actually pretty good in the movie, and with the David Lynch, his movies are open to interpretation. He won't tell you what they're about. He may know what they're about, even if you don't. And he doesn't like to tell. He likes the films to speak for themselves. He's truly an artist in that way. You can tell because, that's who he is. Like, his movie is his painting. He paints it. There you go. It's your interpretation. To me, Robert Blake's character in the movie, I see as either a demon or the devil in the movie. That's my opinion. Like I said, it depends on what you think, because some people think this is aliens. I've heard some people say it's aliens and stuff. I don't buy into the aliens bit myself. I think Robert Blake's character is either like
an existential being.
Yes, he's an existential being. I either think he's either the devil or he's a demon.
Maybe he's an alien devil.
It could yes, I get where the alien stuff comes through because it does.
I don't know. I've never actually seen this one, to be honest with you. I don't think.
Yeah, it's got a great cast to it. Bill Pullman, Patricia Arquette, Richard Pryor in his final movie role, but he's only in one scene. Gary Busey's in it. Balthazar Getty's in it. Robert Loggia, he's great in this movie. I'll try to explain it as best I can for anybody who hasn't seen it without spoiling it. So, Bill Pullman, that's his right name, right? Bill Pullman. I'm not saying his name right. I hope I'm saying his name right. Yeah, Bill Pullman. I want to say somebody else for some reason. So Bill Pullman is like the saxophonist who plays this club, and he's married to Patricia Arquette's character of Renee. And clearly the relationship is very, very tense. There's something not right on the surface of the relationship. He suspects she's having an affair clearly, and they start getting these mysterious videotapes left on the front door, and it's video of their house, and then it's video of them in their bed, and he meets Robert Blake's character at this party, And he has this very weird exchange with him where he tells him, "Oh, we've met before, haven't we?" And he's like, "No, I don't think so." And he's like, "Where have we met?" And he's like, "Your house." And he goes, "I'm at your house." Robert Blake's like, "I'm at your house right now. Here, call me." And he hands him his cell phone, and he dials his home number, and he calls him. And Robert Blake answers his phone, and he says, "See, I told you I'm at your house right now." So like it's got this weird exchange. And then Bill Pullman's character gets arrested for murdering his wife because, there's this really weird thing. And then boom, he's in prison and he starts having these headaches. And like there's this big flash of blue light, which is a signature of Lynch. And when the guards go to check on him, he's no longer Bill Pullman. It's Balthazar Getty's character. They don't know what happens. And then the movie kind of switches gear and follows this character who's released to his parents, Gary Busey and his mom. He's like a young 24-year-old kid. And, he's a mechanic, and we start following this character. And we're like, well, what the hell happened to Bill Pullman? How'd they switch? What's this about? And then Patricia Arquette comes back into the movie as a blonde, and she's dating Robert Loggia's character, who's a mob boss. And so like it starts doing it, and it's all these weird things. And I don't want to go too much further for anybody who's never seen it. But there's just something haunting about this movie, something mesmerizing about this movie. I really enjoy it. I almost wanted to watch it again after I watched it. It's got an insane soundtrack. The movie itself is insane. It's like you said, it's open up to interpretations. You could say it's aliens. You could say it's demons. You could. The most I think David Lynch has gave about the movie himself is that it's possibly sort of like a time loop, sort of in a fugue state type thing, and possibly everything that's happening in the movie is Bill Pullman in his head on death row for killing his wife. So that's about as much as I can explain, but it's weird. It's got great tits in the movie. I can tell you that much. It's got great tits. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. I mean, he was all right. I wouldn't say he was like the greatest actor I've ever seen, Robert Blake. I just, he was a weird guy himself. And it's funny because not long after the movie, what happened to Robert Blake? What was he arrested for? Killing his wife, which is what the main character himself is arrested for. But anyways, I figured you probably didn't have much to say on that because you probably never seen it. So since his passing, I've been in a bit of a Lynch mood and like a weird movie type phase. So yeah, there you guys have it. You can go to you, Tom, if you're ready for your next pick.
Give me 2 seconds, actually.
Okay.
I gotta let Sadie out, and I'll be right
Okay,
back.
okay.
She picked the wrong time.
All right. Well, I'll continue to talk a little bit about the movie. Yeah, if you guys can get your hand on the Criterion, and the Criterion is expensive. I'd wait for a sale, but this is on 4K and it is on Blu-ray as well. So yes, I would have to say it's probably my favorite Lynch movie. However, I will be honest with you guys. Don't kill me. I've not seen Blue Velvet. I've never seen Blue Velvet. I plan on seeing it. I'm gonna watch it, get to it, but I've not seen Blue Velvet. But I would have to say this is probably my favorite David Lynch film of his, and it's just like I said, it's very haunting. It's very mesmerizing. It's creepy. You could say it's a bit of a film noir meets horror meets all kinds of things. It's an insane movie. It's an insane movie that I love, and it's up to you guys. It's up to your interpretation. I would say that. I would say, yeah, everybody has their interpretation. David Lynch has his that he's only veiled a little bit about. Patricia Arquette has her interpretation, and the other guys, some of the other actors and actresses have no idea. They just wanted to be in a David Lynch movie. They have absolutely no idea what the movie's about. I tend to think that it has something to do with Robert Blake's character being a bit of like either a demon, a devil. He could be an alien, possibly, but I think he's like a demon or a devil, and he's messing with this guy who clearly doesn't like his wife. And like David Lynch said, it's a bit of a time loop in the sense that he was saying, like, not so much like a Groundhog's time loop, but like where this man will come back to different lives, and each time the event that he has to go through gets stretched out longer and harder to complete. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like it's sort of like it's his own personal hell. It's this man's own personal hell. But anyways, if you're ready, Tom, for your next pick, it's you can go ahead and do yours.
All right, one of the other movies I watched this week was one of the movies I got in that 3 for sale that you clued me in on,
Mhm.
and it is the Marky Mark film Lone Survivor. It's actually pretty good. It's a good film. It's nail biting as fuck. I mean, even though the title gives a lot of it away. I mean, I really think they should have come up with a bit better title.
What do you mean? Is he the lone survivor? Does it spoil it?
A little bit. A little bit. Kind of, sort of. But other than that, no, the movie is still pretty good just the same. Honestly, though, it's a 4K up convert, and I didn't see much of a difference between the two. But considering what I paid for it, the big change here is I think on the 4K you get a DTS-X upgrade, which is ostensibly their Dolby Atmos version of DTS's version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it sounded pretty cool. So, I mean, I thought that was a plus. It sounded a little bit better in my comparison shopping when I went between the two. But picture-wise, I could barely see a difference. But no, it was a fairly decent film. I don't know how accurate it is, but
yeah,
I think it's about the early days of the Afghanistan attack. So it's kind of weird. It kind of goes off the We Were Soldiers. I should have watched this last week with We Are Soldiers.
Yeah,
Soldiers, because it's kind of like kind of a good counterpart to it, or whatever you want to call it. But no, it's pretty good, and it's directed by Peter Berg.
Oh yeah. I've seen this. Yeah,
Taylor Kitsch is in it. Emil Hirsch is in it. Ben Foster, Eric Bana. So yeah, no, it was a pretty good movie.
yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen it or not. But.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember when it came out. Like The Family. Is let me think. Is Ben somebody? I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name. Is he in this movie? Ben whatever. Who's all in the cast again? I know you said Eric Bana, Taylor Kitsch, Emil Hirsch.
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster. He's in the movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. I remember when this movie came out, the family of the character that Ben Foster played said they were really, really happy with the movie and the way their son was portrayed. And so I think a little bit of it was accurate, but like you said, I don't know how accurate it was. So yeah, I do remember this one. Yeah,
No, that's really all I had to say much about it. It was good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's one I'll watch over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah,
because it's very, like I said, it's pretty intense in that respect.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I guess we'll move on. I'll go on to me, and so I took another little trip back to the '90s, and I have Nick of Time with Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken. I'm walking here. This is one of the most normal roles you will ever see Johnny Depp play in any film.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So it is kind of weird to see him be so normal. Sometimes, honest to God, it really is. So for anybody who hasn't seen this film, Johnny Depp, I believe this is actually shot in real time too. It's called Nick of Time, and it's 88 minutes long.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's shot in real time. Johnny Depp is a father. He has a little daughter, like maybe 5 years old. They're coming into town. Christopher Walken and this lady are like staring at the people coming in through the train, looking at people, talking about, oh, maybe this person, maybe that person. And they decide to pick out Johnny Depp and his daughter. So they take his daughter away from him, and Christopher Walken tells him, he says, hey, here's he gives him an envelope. He says, hey, there's a woman in there. You're going to kill that woman or we're going to kill your daughter. Plain and simple. So, so that's the gist of the movie is like, they want him to kill the governor of California. And they're using his daughter because that's it. We're looking for the right type of people to play. And he has 88 minutes to do it. It's an 88 minutes long movie. And he has to figure out a way to not kill Johnny Depp's character has to figure out a way to not kill the governor and to save his daughter and have these guys stop. It's a fun movie. Christopher Walken plays a great character. I love it because it's like, as soon as he tells him this and they take the daughter away and they send him on the way, he's like Johnny Depp in the beginning of the movie is like constantly looking to try to tell somebody. And like every time he gets ready to tell somebody, Christopher Walken's literally right there. Like, come on, what are you doing? I can't do Walken, but he's like, every time he's right there. So you're like, it's great, like tense movie in that situation. It's like, who can he tell? How can he tell? Who's all involved in this conspiracy? How's he going to get out of this? How is he going to get his daughter? It's a pretty fun movie from the 90s if you've never seen it. It wasn't a big movie. From what I remember, it flopped. Did do well. This is the Paramount. The scan on this.
The first phase of Johnny Depp, basically.
Yeah, it's the first phase. I think
he had that early phase where he did a bunch of movies, and they tried to make him a movie star. It just didn't work, and it didn't happen for him until really Pirates of the Caribbean. But
yeah. I think this was in his law after a few of the like Johnny Tim Burton ones that he did, and he didn't really. Yeah, it wasn't a very big hit, and I think this wasn't long after Christopher Walken did the Prophecy movies. So, because he still sort of got that the hair from the Prophecy movies, at least the first two. What phase is Johnny Depp in now?
For some reason, I think it was like 94. Johnny Depp, he's in post Amber Heard phase.
Yeah.
No, but basically you had the pre-21 Jump Street phase was just a few spatterings of things he did, and then 21 Jump Street, which like launched him into like teen magazines, right? And then like you said, he did a couple of the Tim Burton movies that kind of set him up to become a star. Yeah. They tried giving him some movies, this, Gilbert Grape, a few other ones, Benny and June, they just didn't take. Yeah. Right? Like they just didn't hit at the box office, so he kind of became, he's that goofy dude. And he got a few other movies, but like the Ninth Gate and a few other ones like that. Ninth Gate.
I actually did like
From Hell and some other ones.
Yeah, he did Chocolate and Don Juan DeMarco, which I think those might have been
Sleepy Hollow and all that.
Yeah.
But no, when Pirates of the Caribbean hit, that put him on a whole new level. Like then he became Johnny Depp, the superstar.
Yeah, it's true.
Because really, if you look at his career, he hasn't really done anything else besides that. All his other movies have kind of flopped.
Yeah, even the ones he did after the Pirates of the Caribbean, they kind of didn't do nothing. So
I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is his only other real hit, which is sad.
Yeah. But no, I had fun watching Naked Time. I haven't seen it in years. It was so funny to see every time he took a corner, Christopher Walken is literally right there, just like, you gonna do it? Don't make me stop you. So it was fun. But yeah, that was a fun movie. It's from Paramount. It's not the greatest scan in the world. I would assume it's from an Interpositive, but it doesn't look bad. Private Resort. That's a good one. So, but anyways, it's you, Tom, if you're ready for your next pick.
Well, this is my last pick.
And then my last one.
Yeah. Well, technically, I mean, I got 3 here, so let's try and do this in chronological order, I suppose. Let's see, that's 65, 72. Okay, so you know me, I love my John Wayne. Mm-hmm. And we got first off, Sons of Katie Elder, a classic. I was hoping to get Four Brothers by now. Mm-hmm. I had the DVD. I could not find it. I thought I had it on Blu-ray, but I'm like, evidently I don't. So I got a used copy on the way, but it didn't get here in time for the show, so I wanted to watch that to compare it. But yeah, most famously, for those who haven't seen this, if you've seen Four Brothers, that's loosely based on this. Yeah. And what's this about? Well, this movie is about 4 brothers who get together for the funeral of their mother. And as they are handling her final affairs, they start to uncover a bit of shenanigans in not so much her death, but the death of their father and the loss of their family farm, and who's responsible or possibly responsible for all this. And yeah, they go on a bit of a search for those who could be possibly responsible for said things. Yeah. If you've seen Four Brothers, you know the movie.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen Son of Katie Elder too. I've seen that too. So.
And it's one of the classics. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's got Dean Martin and I'm trying to remember who plays the other guys. Jeremy Slate and Earl Holliman and Michael Anderson Jr. in it. and Martha Hayer. So whoever those people are, probably
Yeah.
a couple of the other brothers. But yeah, no, like obviously the two that matter are Dean Martin and John Wayne, because they're the worst of the four brothers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the one on the one side who's the good boy, and then you got the other on the other side who's the young up and comer. And yeah, I mean,
hot shot.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you watch this up against Four Brothers, the only thing that they really change in Four Brothers, other than the setting, clearly, and the fact that they're adopted, is that one of the brothers is not quite good. And I mean, really, that's the only thing they really change otherwise.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good movie, good presentation. I think it has a 5.1 mix, but it's kind of an oddball 5.1 mix. So, not the greatest. But, or no, this one's mono, that's right. This is the one I think that has the 5.1 mix. It's kind of an older oddball one. Because, yes, this is
the Cowboys.
One of John Wayne's top 5 right here. Like, I mean, this is a classic. And I think this was actually scanned from the 4K negative back when this came out in 2006 or 7. Because it looks great for even then. But I think this is supposedly rumored or due for a 4K at any point now, any given time. John Williams did the music. Of course, you got a young, because I put it on the Twitter the other day.
Oh yeah,
Robert Carradine.
Yeah, from the Nerds.
And A. Martinez and stuff like that are in his when they were young, and it's a great fucking movie. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I've pretty much seen almost all the John Wayne movies because my dad loves them.
And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's one of those 8 films, if you know what I mean. One of the 8. One of the famous 8. But no, it's a great fucking movie. And this movie is a great movie because I love, and I love, in quotations, being sarcastic, when people bring up that Playboy interview and they try to paint John Wayne as this istophobic asshole. If you see this movie, it proves everything about that interview wrong, or at least that perception of that interview wrong.
Yep.
And that bothered him, the way they attacked him back then. And they talk about it in the making of it here. Bruce Dern and the rest of the guys do that are on the little round table of the few that are left of them, right? Basically. And Bruce Dern, of course, plays the bad guy, a real young buck at the time. But no, it's a great fucking flick. If you don't know what it's about, it takes place during the gold rush, and John Wayne's an old cattle rancher named Will Anderson who's got to move 400 head of cattle and 100 horses cross country to get them sold before winter. And all his hands take off on him on the gold rush. And so he's left with few options, so he ends up hiring on a bunch of schoolboys to basically help him get these animals from one place to the other. And I guess the book is really good too, from a controversial author, because the author happens to be openly homosexual, I guess, at the time. But not only that, he's had some controversy since. But watching this again the other night, I was like, God, this movie is probably due for a good remake. And I know that's hard to say with John Wayne, but True Grit was one of those few good ones. I think, and if you guys want to disagree with me, I'd love to have the debate or the conversation about it. I think Kevin Costner would be perfect for this.
I could see that. I could see it.
Especially if you bring in more of the parts that are kind of excised, or not excised, but not as dwelled on in this movie that are in the book, from my understanding. Because I guess a big part of the book and Will's character and his hesitation with taking on the boys is, as it says in the film, he lost his boys, right? But there's more to it than that, I guess, in the book. Like, this whole thing really is kind of a part of that whole thing with his boys, losing his boys and now being responsible for all these young kids. Yeah. It really starts to fuck with him a lot through the story. And I think somebody like Kevin Costner could take that, especially working with kids and being the curmudgeon that he is.
Yeah.
I think would be perfect for it. And if you gave him somebody like Morgan Freeman, or maybe a little younger, somebody like that, in the cook role, I mean, I think it'd be perfect. You just get a perfect bunch of kids, and bring them in and whatever, then. So,
I can see it. I can see it.
I think it would work.
I know, I get it. People, I'm not a fan of remakes myself, but
me either. But
I mean, if you had the right cast, I could see Kevin Costner playing that role, especially where he's at in his career today, and how he's big into westerns himself. I could see it. I could see it. Yeah. I mean, you could be onto something there. Could be.
Yeah, and Brian, I mean, he did say some shit that was pretty stupid, but he's probably drunk at the time. And that wasn't a good representation of who John Wayne was. And because all the people that knew him would have told you that that's not how he really views things. He's not that big of a bigot or a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, he had his moments early on in the 50s and such where he was part of the Red Scare shit, where he was calling out communists and stuff, but we've come to learn that some of those people were right. So anyway,
would have
40,
thought.
50 years later. But yeah, no, like, they just came after him hard fucking court. You got to remember also that this was during the hippie age, and he was seen as more of kind of a, what do you call it? A poster boy for the far right at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was like the modern, or like then it was like Trump back then, or pick your big movie star now, like a Mel Gibson was back then, treated like, or somebody like that, or even Sly kind of to a point now, right? Like, he was seen as the old hat. They wanted to see the Clint Eastwood movies. They wanted to see the ones, which is kind of funny that they, because then they rejected Dirty Harry, but they liked his westerns because his westerns were a little bit more, on the dirty side of things, I guess you could say. But even John Wayne tried to push and push and push further. Like, he was not against trying to be a bit more adult oriented, right? Like, it even kind of shows in this movie. He starts to tackle some more the type of stuff that you wouldn't have tackled 20 years prior to that, right? Like, and I mean, this whole story is about coming of age, right? Like, there's a whole hooker scene even. You'd have never gotten away with that in a John Wayne movie 10 years before that.
No.
Not a fucking chance. Like,
you wouldn't. No way you would have. No
the only
way.
time you would have is pre-code. And the closest I can think of is a movie that he's in, Stagecoach, where the whole time he's like flirting around with this one chick who happens to be a call girl, but they never really say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's just known. And then it's kind of like this thing that's hovering over her through the movie. And then when she finally has to confess it by him walking her to the cat house, he's still like, well, I'm still gonna marry you. So again, it's like, even then in the pre-code era, they were still even less risque about it. But no, it's a great fucking flick if you haven't seen it. I mean, the kid cast is really good because what they did is they mixed actual farm kids with actors. Because there's like a making of it, and the director's like, look, I was hoping that the actors would teach the farm kids how to act, and the actors would learn from the farm kids how to do all the roping and horsing and all that kind of stuff, and it works. So, and Robert Carradine being so young, and it's kind of cool because John worked with his dad so many times.
Yeah.
Speaking of Stagecoach, I mean, he was in that with him, so yeah.
Yeah. Did you have one more of that of John Wayne?
I did. Oh yeah, that's right. And this one you just watched recently, brought on. So
yeah,
I finally got around to watching the
I
Shooters.
do really like this movie.
It's a great film, but it's not your typical John Wayne kind of movie. Now, of course, this is also based on a book.
Yeah.
And this is from a 4K scan, but it's only a standard Blu-ray, but it looks pretty good.
Good.
I got to imagine Paramount will probably re-release it at some point here in 4K, but because it is John Wayne's last movie, and you got a young Ronnie Howard. You talked about it not too long ago, so we don't have to dwell on it too much. But no, decent presentation, and really hits home for John Wayne fans because it is also one of the 8.
Yep.
If you haven't figured out what that means by now, but
I know it is.
Yeah, so no, this is one of those movies where a gunfighter decides he wants to go out on his own terms, and it's
I like
bittersweet
it.
film.
Like it. Yeah, it is his Unforgiven in a way.
Yes, that's a great comparison to it. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I do know one of the reasons why it wasn't always looked on as great, and I get it, is because there was trouble on the set between John Wayne and the director. They had different visions.
Speaking of Dirty Harry, same director.
Yeah, same director as Dirty Harry, yes. And that's why John Wayne signed on with him, because, like he was talking about, he was trying to get more adult and everything, because I was watching some of the special features on that. And but he didn't click with him very well, and they rewrote a lot of Wayne had a lot of it rewritten to match John Wayne, for the movie from the book. And so I know they had a little spats here and there, but I do enjoy the movie. I do know that Clint Eastwood actually did visit John Wayne on the set of that movie. It would have been nice to see them in a movie together, but John Wayne didn't like the westerns Clint Eastwood did. That's pretty much why they never got together. But anyways, yeah, that's a good movie. That is a good movie. Good picks. I guess I'll go on to my final pick of the night. Now you've seen this one, Tom. This is my first time seeing it. It was all right. The Beekeeper.
What'd you think? You thought it was only all right?
Yeah.
That's
it wasn't as. I mean, I liked the movie, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
I probably oversold it. I'm sorry.
No. You didn't oversell it. I don't know. I really did like the movie. It is like an old school action movie,
it's definitely a revenge-o-matic movie.
Yes, a really dramatic film. What I got to be honest with you, what killed some of it for me was the woman's daughter. I couldn't stand her.
Oh, yeah. She is kind of borderline annoying, woke, Karen.
She's like girl boss, and it's like at one point, it's like, why are you even like? I'm screaming at her. Why are you trying to stop this man? Why?
I guess the reason why I guess I wouldn't hold her to so because she gets proven so wrong by the end of the movie,
which I love. I love that she was so wrong, and that like he just straight up. I love his stuff. His stuff was great. The setup with like him living with her, and then what happens to her, and it's like so great. But I could not fucking stand the daughter. I love the Josh Hutcherson character. Because I thought he was like when I saw him, like, oh, I get it. Because like he's like, he's got this mystic doing it, and he's drinking soy milk and stuff in his coffee. And it's like, oh, I get it. I get where this is going. I like where this is headed. Because like Jason Statham is the old school like action man, and he's taking on these people like that, these tech people that are sort of like that. But yeah, no, I did enjoy the movie. It wasn't quite what I was expecting the movie to be, but I did like it. It's a good time. I'm glad I bought it. I am glad I bought it. But yeah, it was fun. It's just some of the stuff is insane. I can't believe, like, I looked up Jason Statham afterwards. It's like he's almost 60 and he's still doing this, like moving like that and stuff. I'm like, I wish when I'm 60 I could still kick ass like that. So. But anyways, yeah, I know did you bring it on? I think you brought it on once before. I know Runner did.
Yeah, not too long ago, actually, like, what, 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago? It was one I got in a 3 for something sale. I know that. It was not the
I got it in a
recent
3.
one, but it was a different one. And I was just glad it finally popped up again, because it was one that sold out on 4K early on, believe it or not. And they didn't have it for a long time on Amazon. I'm like, this is your fucking movie.
Exactly, it's an Amazon movie.
What the hell? Well, that just meant it sold out because it did well. I'm sad to hear you didn't like it as much as I did. I mean, I get it. Yeah, she is kind of like I guess I kind of treated her like I did Awkwafina in Renfield. Like the greater parts of the film outweighed her bad character. And if anyway, I felt like her. And I kind of felt like this, like her being there, the way she was acting was kind of like to point out how bad of a, like it's almost to make fun of her for being that way. Because you have the same thing with the new Beekeeper. I don't know if you caught that, because the new Beekeeper is like total DEI hired.
Yeah,
gets her ass handed to her.
And he beats that, which I was surprised. That's what I liked about it, because I was surprised. I was like, oh God, this woman's going to show up and kick his ass, isn't she? And then he just like fucking mops the floor with her. And I'm like, oh, they went there. That's let him do that.
So like, I see where you're coming from, but it almost feels like maybe that's the way I saw it going into it. It was like, commenting on how stupid she is for being such a Karen, right? Like, and because she instantly thinks the guy did it first, and then she jumps to the next conclusion, and she gets proven wrong by the end of the film.
That's like, she rubbed me the wrong way right off the bat when she come in and was like, get the big old white dude who's living in my mom's house, we're not going to arrest him. It's like,
I get it, and I was kind of thinking that at first a little bit, but then I kind of got it right away. Like, oh, okay, she is the comment on that kind of person. I get it. Yeah, but I mean, at some point, but like at some point in the movie, you're like, you literally said you would love to stop all the people that did this to your mom and all that, and that's what he's doing, and you're trying to arrest him.
I almost felt like her partner, the guy that she's working with, it really could have played well into him and Statham's thing, because he's this FBI guy and he's got 4 kids and he's just trying to do his job. He wants to do what's right. And I almost felt like he could have been a foil to Statham's character, and seeing that what Statham's character is doing to all these people that are scamming these people and how he's taking them out. I almost felt like that. And then like at that one point when he's like, please don't kill me, I have 4 kids. And he goes, I know you're this, this, this. And he tells him all about his life. And he goes, I wouldn't do that. And he like leaves him and he goes on. Like, I almost felt like them two could have had like a dynamic in the film that would have worked better than the daughter and him. But I get where you're coming from with the daughter, because by the end of the movie, he does prove her wrong. And he just like straight up does what he does right in front of her. It's like, what are you going to do about it? So I did like that part, so I did like that part. Yeah. But I get you. But that was it. No, I did, but I'm not saying I didn't like the movie. I did actually like the movie, and I am glad I own it. I am glad I own it, because it is one I will see myself watching again down the line. That I can rewatch. Yeah. Just, I don't know what it was about the daughter that she really just rubbed me the wrong way. But you're right. You're completely right about the beekeeper. Because I was really surprised. I was like, oh, please don't do that. Then he just holy shit, man. He just mopped the floor with her ass. It was no contest. It was really super easy. And I was surprised. I was like, okay, I did that. I think that. Which I couldn't believe they allowed that to happen in today's day and age, to be honest with you. But that's a testament, I think, to Jason Statham and his movies. I am looking forward to his new one. What's it called? A Working Man. I am looking forward to that, from David Ayer as well, too, who directed that one as well. And written by Sylvester Stallone, based on a Chuck Dixon comic.
That's correct, yeah.
So, or novel, I should say. Yeah, so it looks good. But yeah, that was it. That's what I watched this week. Yeah. I kind of had a little thing, some Lynch and Cronenberg, and then some Johnny Depp and Jason Statham. It's a weird combination. So, but yeah, thank you for getting Robert on here, because that was fun. It was good to talk to Robert, and thank you to everybody out in the chat. Once again, I do want to reiterate this to anybody that watches this or sees this out in chat. We are looking to add to the show. And I would really, I know we're pretty late into the show here, whatever, but if you are new to collecting,
still 36 watching. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so if you share it out. If you are new to collecting and sort of new and young, I know I hate saying young, but we got the grumpy old guys covered right here.
Yeah.
Because I think
we
that
want
dynamic
the young
really
new
works.
generation perspective is kind of what we're looking for. Yeah,
that's why we like Rook and Runner. Of course, Runner moved on and is actually trying to make films, and Rook can't get away from Subway. So we would like to have people like them, man or woman. We don't discriminate here. To fill it, to come onto the show and flesh out our show. So it's not just me and Tom yapping all the time, and so we actually have more people for you guys to interact with and build out the show. And so if you guys know anybody,
as long as you have better taste than Rookie does, we won't make that much fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to find somebody that actually likes Gremlins, that'll see Gremlins for the first time and will like it.
That's one of the questions on do you like Gremlins?
Or at least if you've never seen it, please tell me when you watch it you will like it.
How about Ghostbusters?
Yes. So, but I do think that dynamic works, because Tom's a bit older than me. I'm a bit younger than him. Our tastes are a little different. So we got the older guys worked out. We could use a perspective of some younger people, so maybe a woman and a guy. So,
well, I think we also discussed maybe, because you said you did have some people who were interested, but they just happen to be some of the guys in our same age group and stuff like that. And there are you guys out there that are listening now, and we might do that too. Hopefully we find somebody else, and then we can also bring one of you guys on every once in a while too.
Yeah,
and I gotta quit watching so many movies, I guess. So.
No, please keep watching it, because it helps the shows when it's just us two.
I meant if we actually get more than one or two other people.
Oh yeah, if you could, if we get more than two, it will. We may have to slow down, right?
5 in the morning, otherwise.
Yeah.
The last movie, I swear.
it's the last one. I've never seen it all the way through, but I know what Zardoz is. I know it's with Sean Connery. So, yeah. I've never seen it all the way through. So, that would actually be kind of interesting. Acres, a movie. Would you like to see a Jaws set in 1776? That could be interesting, actually.
I mean, I would love. I don't know if I need a Jaws remake sent then, but Jaws like a shark movie in that era, sure.
Yeah,
why not?
Exactly. Yeah, but I guess that's all we got for you guys tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an exciting night, even though we seemingly wrapped up sooner than I thought. I mean, we bumped through my movies so quickly with Robert here, but no, like I said, the big one I can really recommend, if you haven't heard of it, Rolling Vengeance.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that. Get that. I love Kino. I love that they put out stuff like that.
Just check out the trailer if you're not sure. I mean, it does a pretty good job of selling the movie for you.
Excuse me. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks to everybody out in the chat. I appreciate you guys for hanging with us tonight. Hope you do have a good night, good day, good morning, afternoon, whatever time it may be where you are. But as always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.